In this module, we will understand what is REST APIs and also understand APIs from security perspective. We will also understand what is OpenAPI or Swagger and explore OWASP Top 10 API vulnerabilities. In this section, we will explore why API are needed in today's world and some basic workings of an API in terms of different architectural style. Almost a decade ago, Marc Andreessen, an American entrepreneur and the co-founder of Netscape, made the famous statement, "Software is eating the world." Today we see that almost every business is relying on software, and especially the APIs. Organizations like Uber, Amazon, Walmart, and many other Fortune 500 companies are API-driven and use API in their day-to-day businesses. We could now say that software is eating the world, but the API is eating the software. Recent survey from Slashdata says that around 90% of the developers use APIs. There is also a report from Statista, which says that developers spend almost 30% of their time coding in APIs. Because of its popularity, the APIs also has security issues which needs to be addressed by development teams. No-Name Security, an API security company, released a research data that says that 41% of organizations have had security issues using APIs in the last 12 months. 63% of those incidents are data breaches or data loss. So it's high time that we need to get serious about securing our APIs, and usually these breaches are due to misconfigurations and bad practices that we follow. API simply expands to an application programming interface. It is a mechanism that allows software systems to communicate with each other using a set of protocols and definitions. In this example here, the client sends a request over the internet to an API. The API receives the request and sends it to backend web server for processing the request. The web server processes the request by contacting the underlying database. The server then sends back the response to API. The API then sends the response back to the client. So you see, it is a simple client-server communication that happens over an internet connection. Let us now understand different architectural style of building APIs and understand what are the security concern areas of API. There are different API styles and architecture that are available. Using the right architecture style depends on your business use cases. The two most style of writing APIs are either SOAP-based or REST-based. SOAP was and still is very pervasive in enterprise applications, and while REST is pervasive both in consumer and enterprise spaces. Simple Object Access Protocol is an API architectural style, standardized by World Wide Web Consortium, and it uses XML to exchange information. SOAP defines rules that must be strictly followed, enforcing how messages should be sent and what information must be included in those messages. SOAP is heavy and not easy to implement. SOAP message exchange not only works with HTTP, but also works with other protocols such as TCP and SMTP. SOAP message structure consists of an envelope, a header, and a body. An envelope is a placeholder that holds the header and body. Header contains sender, receiver information, and other data such as authentication, encryption, and hashing details. Body element contains the actual data that needs to be exchanged. REST stands for Representational State Transfer that uses HTTP protocol to transfer data from client to server and vice versa. REST APIs are the most common API architecture pattern that is used by organizations to make publicly accessible APIs. Unlike SOAP, REST APIs are tied to HTTP protocol only. REST is stateless, which means that the server does not store any information about the requests being made, which means that the client sending the message includes all the information needed to fulfill the requests from the server. So in REST, the client maintains the state and transfers state information to the server accordingly. REST does not provide message-level security, such as encryption, and digital signatures are offered by SOAP. However, REST works on all devices that understand HTTP and does not require devices to contain XML parsing technologies. REST APIs consists of following key elements: client, REST server, HTTP request, HTTP response, resource. Client is a user or a machine that initiates a request to get a certain resource from the REST server. If you are using a mobile app to get weather data, then your mobile device is a client that is requesting weather information. The weather information is a resource. REST server consists of API and stores the resources that can be transferred to the client based on the requests sent by the client. HTTP requests consists of HTTP methods, headers, and a body. HTTP method could be get, post, put, or delete. HTTP message body contains the actual request data and response data to perform read, create, update, and delete operations on the resource. Any APIs which works in REST style are also called as RESTful APIs. Well, thank you very much for your attention so far. This lecture might be a little bit longer than you expected, but we hope it was worth it.